Welcome back to Talking Dogs in a Car. I'm Anthony DeMarinis from DeMarinis Dog Training and Behavior. And today's topic is on a question that a client asked me today, which was, why does my dog display aggressive behavior when people walk away from him? And so this is something that I see somewhat regularly. Usually I see this behavior for a couple of reasons. And so the first reason is when dogs might actually be a little bit fearful or feel a little bit threatened by an individual in the environment. They might not necessarily show aggressive behavior initially, especially if the person is facing them or sitting or standing within that environment with them. However, when the individual stands up and walks away from them, you might find that that's the time the dog tends to strike. I usually call it like a cheap shot or a sucker punch, where the dog tends to react or display aggressive behavior at that time. Sometimes it's because the dog strategically knows that they're not right there up against them, facing them. They're actually walking away from them, and the individual's back is turned towards them. So it's the time the dog decides to strike. It could also be what's called a distance increasing behavior, where a dog decides that they need to increase the distance for safety purposes between them and the threat, to tell that threat to move away or move further away. Almost like, yeah, that's right, get out of my house, get out of here type of behavior. Get off my property, that type of thing. Usually you see that when a dog is feeling a little bit fearful or threatened. Other reasons that I might see this behavior response of chasing people or going after people when their back is turned towards the dog, or walking away from the dog, could be if the dog is feeling a little bit conflicted. Some people label that conflict-related aggression. So if a dog is feeling conflicted or concerned about someone or something in their environment, and they don't know necessarily what to do, they might decide to react when they're conflicted or concerned about that individual in the environment. And they'll usually display aggressive or reactive behaviors in their life when they are conflicted. Sometimes that could be a response out of fear. Sometimes it could be more of a response out of an impulse control type of behavior, which is another reason that I might see this response in some dogs, is when they have low frustration tolerance, where they get frustrated really easily, or they have impulse control related issues where they can't necessarily control their behavior. And so you might see this behavior pop up with dogs that display impulse control related problems. You might also see that dogs who have impulse control related issues might be serious resource guarders. So resource guarding is where a dog is possessive or protective of things that they value at that particular moment in time. So it could be a person in the environment. It could be a dog bone that they have in their possession. It could be their bowl of food, their dog bed, the space on the couch. So that's what resource guarding is, being possessive or protective of what they find valuable at that time. And so some dogs who have impulse control related issues might be severe resource guarders, where they globally resource guard items in their environment. So global resource guarding is where it's like, I kind of look at it as a compulsive issue, where they just constantly need to protect or possess or have some sort of control over something in the environment, to control the outcome of the situation, or just because they want something specific and they just can't control themselves and they need to have it. So that's kind of a simple way of explaining that. And then also just resource guarding based behavior in general is another reason that some dogs will display this behavior, is when they are being protective or possessive of something in the environment, and that individual might actually be very threatening to them. And so as a result, they feel the need to display this behavior when they're feeling threatened or concerned. And again, that could sometimes even be a fear-related response, and sometimes it might not be. So those are just some of the reasons. There are other reasons that this behavior can occur. It does sometimes occur in dogs who are territorial or protective of their home and their environment. So that might pop up in dogs who naturally are protective of their home and environment. So like a guard dog type of breed might display this behavior. Usually you'll see them display this behavior in the beginning, where someone comes into the home or onto the property and they're being guarded or protective, and they may choose to occasionally display this behavior when the person gets up and walks away from them, because they may feel that that person is a threat or a concern to them, and it's their job to protect the home and or the property. So it might be another reason. I don't see that as common, but it is something that can occur. And so that could actually be a trait of the breed of dog itself, especially a dog who instinctually is going to protect their home, property, or family. So I hope this information was helpful. My website is myaggressivedog.com, behaviordogs.com, and you can also find me on social media at DeMarinis Dog Training and Behavior, at YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. I'll see you guys soon.